Hey guys, how's it going? It's the Crypto Analyst here, and I hope all of you guys are having a good morning, evening, wherever you guys are from. And welcome back to another cryptocurrency technical analysis. And in this episode today, we are going to be covering Ethereum. Now, if you guys were part of the last live stream or are part of the Patreon, you guys would know that I shorted Ethereum from the very top of this at $166. Now, I made it very clear that that's what I was doing, so congratulations to anyone who was able to jump in on this breakdown situation and catch Ethereum on this little downfall that it did have. But today we have a little bit of a different story, and that kind of being the opposite. Now we actually have a little bit of a longing opportunity here for Ethereum, and as this has been playing out, I have been adjusting my chart. So what we're actually looking at today on Ethereum is a possible ascending triangle. So if you guys are interested, go and stick around for the video, and do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as it does help out the channel a lot. But that being said, let's go ahead and dive on into this. So with Ethereum potentially forming this ascending triangle formation pattern, this is actually kind of a bullish case scenario for Ethereum. Now, this also into account with the CME futures. If you guys haven't seen that yet, basically when this whole breakdown happened over in this range, what this did is create a huge gap, and we can actually go to it over here, a huge gap on the CME futures. And when we go and actually look at this, what you see is this giant breakdown in the price action of Bitcoin and this giant gap. And so usually when this happens, this gap has to be filled. Over here again, you guys can see gap down here, and it ended up getting filled back up. This gap over in this range had to get filled up over here. And so we know that these gaps generally get filled when they do happen. So with this gap actually happening over in this range, what a lot of people are anticipating is that we're actually going to go up, fill this gap, and then come back down. And so that's a very good possibility of something that could play out. And when I'm looking at Ethereum, this is something that I'm actually kind of counting in, even though it's not even on the Ethereum chart, because BTC heavily correlates to Ethereum and Ethereum heavily correlates to BTC. So when we're looking at this and I see this ascending triangle, I think that it can play very well into this idea that Ethereum was going to go back up and then dump again. Now, when I say that it's going to go back up, I'm not saying that, we're just going to go straight back to this area, of course, right? What I'm saying is that as soon as this breaks out over here, and we can actually see this even better on the 1 hour, but as we can see this on the 1 hour, it's very clear that there is a sloping upwards line of support and then this flat level of resistance up top. Now, you did just have a death cross on your 1 hour, but it's a 1 hour chart, so it's very insignificant, and I really just don't even pay much attention to that at all. But when I'm looking at this, I think that there is a very clear ascending triangle, at least the potential for one forming over here. Now, of course, we can adjust this just a little bit more, but this thing wicked down here. But looking at this, you definitely do have this ascending triangle forming, because you have your first touch, your second touch, your third, and now your fourth over here in this area. And with all of these guys forming, you'll see now 1, 2, and even 3 touches on resistance up top over in this range. So what I expect over here, and something that I actually posted to the Patreon today while this was over and in this range, was that I was actually longing this entire section because of the fact that I can keep such a tight stop loss. And if it breaks down lower than this previous candle over in this range, we can actually highlight in here, if it breaks below this previous candle over in this range, what this would do is set actually a lower and a breakdown of this ascending triangle, probably nullifying it as a bullish opportunity. So what I basically was saying over there is that I was longing anywhere really in between these two zones. I was trying to get my long order as close to this support line as possible, and then what I am doing is kind of just waiting for this thing to play out towards the upside. And if this is an ascending triangle, it would most likely break to the upside, and this would go again right hand in hand with the CME futures, right? If this gap is going to be getting filled and this is an ascending triangle, it makes me all the more bullish on this kind of situation over here. So going back to this, again, if this is an ascending triangle, maybe you have one more touch on resistance up top. I want to clear this chart just a little bit. So maybe you do have one more touch on resistance up top, but I think for the most part over here, what we're gonna have happen is something a little bit more along the lines of this. So maybe you come up, hit your 786 fib retracement, then come back down, then come back up, hit this line one more time, and then maybe break out after that. But I think that it is likely that you test this upper resistance one more time. Now, again, this is all invalidated if we do break down and have a not a higher low, a lower low. And that's really the main concern that I have over here with Ethereum. You know, looking at our 1 hour chart, it is giving us a little bit of bearish divergence, but again, the 1 hour is very insignificant in terms of macro, and excuse me. And so when I'm looking at this over here, I am seeing that on the MACD, you are seeing lower levels of negative momentum, and this is really starting to dry up over here. Now, some can argue that a lot of the negative momentum, or a lot of the positive momentum, is already getting exhausted throughout this process. Since you didn't catch it on the round down here, and MACD is a lagging indicator, is most of this bullish momentum already dried up and gone, right? So that's one argument that people are having against this, but also to the fact that this is resetting, and you did have quite the hefty dump over here, and so maybe this thing already bounced, and I would expect from something that had bearish divergence like this to at least come into the oversold territory at some point. Now, I think that that is something that is definitely going to happen in the future, but the real question for me is it going to bounce first? Is this CME futures going to get, is this really going to get filled? Is the gap going to be filled before we dump? Because I certainly think that we're going down another leg here, but the real question is, are we going to fill this futures gap first? And is the ascending triangle going to break out first before we dump again? And that's really what people are talking about in this range. So this is why personally, I do see this as a great longing opportunity, just because of the risk versus reward. And let me go through. If you guys are part of the Patreon, you guys really get a treat because, you know, one, you guys get the catch things like this, but two, the thing that I was writing up earlier, you get to have scenarios like this where I actually do a risk versus reward analysis, put it up over here, and then give the longing versus shorting opportunity. So it was about an 8, where was it? Yeah, so it was about an 8%, or excuse me, the risk versus reward ratio in this range was actually around an 8.07, I believe. Yeah, and the potential loss was around, it was actually a little bit smaller than this. The potential loss was around 1.2%, potential gain was around 10 to 11%. So what this does in this situation over here, and why I'm doing this and why I write this up, is because I can keep such a tight stop loss in this area, saying that if it breaks below this point, I exit the trade, I get stopped out, that's the end of it. But if it holds support and this ascending triangle plays out, all I'm doing is risking a potential loss of 1% if it doesn't work, and I'm potentially gaining up to 10 or even 11% if this plays out all the way through. Even if this only gets back up towards the top of the ascending triangle, I'm still gaining about 5% over here. So to me, that's worth it. You know, again, risking 1% for 5%, to me, that is worth it. This is a bullish formation pattern potentially. And again, all the more reason why I am taking these kinds of trades. It's the same reason why I was shorting up here in this range, is because of the fact that there was so much resistance, there was bearish divergence, and I could keep a stop loss so tight. So if I keep the stop loss tight, you know, I'm really not losing anything. Maybe I lose 1%. But again, that's such an insignificant loss that the risk versus reward in these kind of situations are worth it to me. So again, and I think that's a big part of trading, is actually knowing that your risk versus reward. I think that's such a crucial part of trading that a lot of people really just don't even understand. So hopefully this was able to help you guys out. Looking over here at some of the indicators and oscillators, stochastics looks like it's starting the round up, slightly, ever so slightly bullish. Your RSI kind of indecisive in this zone, and your MACD is pointing back upwards as well. So time will tell. We'll have to see over here, but for the short term, as long as it holds above this area over here, you know, I have to really kind of be bullish on this. Expect that it's going to test at least the 50 EMA on the 4-hour or this upper level of resistance. So all my targets for where Bitcoin will go up and down are posted in the Patreon. If you guys are a part of that, go ahead and check that out. It's in the link down below. And if you guys want to join the Discord, that's absolutely free. I'm always talking about stuff. I was actually talking about this bear flag that was on Bitcoin the other day over on here, right before this broke down. So if you guys are just in the Discord hanging out in the good old BitMEX war room, you guys were hopefully able to catch that as well. So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys want to learn anything else, the links to everything are down in the description below, and I hope all of you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video.